Rain attacked the city like gunfire. He rode hard, $47 from sleep under a roof. Under a broken streetlight, an old man shook, paper bleeding in gray rain. He braked, turned back, lifted him onto the rack. One black sedan idled, a window slid. A heavy card touched his palm. Cold, silent promises. Some gestures change everything forever. The rain doesn't fall in Chicago. It attacks. Each drop hits the asphalt like bullets, creating a symphony of violence that drowns out everything else. Steam rises from manholes like ghosts escaping hell. The city breathes through its wounds tonight. Marcus Williams pedals through the darkness, 17 and lean, his delivery bag cutting through the wind like a blade. The bicycle chain screams with each revolution, metal grinding against metal, a sound that matches the grinding in his stomach. 3 deliveries left. $47 needed. One night between him and the streets. His phone buzzes. Unknown number. He doesn't answer. Unknown numbers mean trouble, and trouble is the only thing he can't afford tonight. The screen illuminates his face for a second, casting shadows that make him look older, harder. The rain has stopped being water. Now it's just cold. The old man stands under the broken streetlight like a monument to abandonment. His coat hangs loose, too big for his shrinking frame. His hands shake not from the cold but from something deeper, something that lives in the spaces between memory and fear. The paper in his fingers disintegrates slowly, ink bleeding into meaningless stains. Marcus slows. The brake pads protest against wet metal. He watches the old man from 30 feet away, noting how people cross the street to avoid him. A woman in a business suit pretends to check her phone. A teenager in headphones turns up his music. The city has learned to be blind. The old man's lips move. No sound emerges. He's talking to ghosts or memories or the spaces between streetlights where safety used to live. His eyes scan every passing car with the desperation of a man who knows he's been forgotten by the world. Marcus's phone buzzes again. This time he looks. His supervisor's name glows like a threat. "Where the hell are you?" He types back quickly, fingers numb. "Traffic. Almost there." The lie tastes metallic, like blood or old coins. The old man turns. Their eyes meet across the distance. For a moment something passes between them. Recognition, maybe. Or just the shared understanding of what it means to be alone in a city that never sleeps, but never truly stays awake either. Marcus pushes forward on the pedals. The bike lurches ahead, tires cutting through puddles that reflect nothing but darkness. But something pulls at him. A weight in his chest that has nothing to do with hunger or fear or the $47 he still needs to survive another night. He stops. The brake squeals echo off empty buildings. His breath creates small clouds that disappear instantly, like prayers whispered into the void. He looks back. The old man hasn't moved. Still standing. Still shaking. Still forgotten. Damn it. The words escape before he can stop them. Marcus turns the bike around, metal handlebars cold enough to burn skin. His delivery bag bounces against his hip, $47 moving further away with each rotation of the wheels. He coasts to a stop near the old man, close enough to smell the wet wool and something else. Something that reminds him of his grandfather's last apartment. Dust and regret and time running out. "You okay, sir?" The old man blinks. His eyes are gray like the concrete, but there's something behind them. Intelligence. Awareness. Fear wrapped in confusion like a gift no one wants to unwrap. "Bus," the old man whispers. His voice carries an accent. Italian, maybe. Or just age making English sound foreign in his own mouth. "Bus to... The words die in the space between intention and memory. Marcus glances at the bus stop sign. It's been vandalized so many times, the route numbers are illegible. The schedule is torn, hanging by one corner, flapping in the wind like a surrendering flag. "What bus you looking for?" "Home," the old man says simply. As if that explains everything. As if home is a destination you can reach with exact change and a transfer. Marcus checks his phone. 9:47 p.m. The last delivery needs to be completed by 10:30, or his supervisor will dock his pay. $47 will become 23. 23 won't cover his corner of the shared room. 23 is the difference between a roof and the streets. The old man shivers. His coat is expensive, Marcus notices. Or was expensive once. Italian wool, maybe cashmere. The kind of coat that costs more than Marcus makes in 3 months. But it's soaked through now, heavy with rain and uselessness. Buses stopped running this route an hour ago, Marcus says quietly. The old man nods as if he expected this, as if disappointment is just another weather pattern he's learned to endure. You got someone you can call? The old man pats his pockets. Empty. Or full of things that don't matter anymore. His hands continue searching, patting, hoping. The gesture becomes ritual, a prayer made of muscle memory. Marcus's phone buzzes. Third time. He doesn't look. Where are you trying to get to? North side, the old man says. Then clearer. Belmont, near the church with the blue doors. Marcus knows the area. 20-minute bike ride. 40 minutes if he's carrying a passenger on his delivery bike. 40 minutes that will turn $47 into zero. Zero is how much forgiveness his landlord has left. The old man looks at him with those gray eyes. No manipulation, no plea, just acceptance. The kind of acceptance that comes when you've stopped expecting the world to care. You got a name? Marcus asks. Vincent, the old man says. Then softer. Vinny. Marcus. They stand in the space between introduction and decision. The rain continues its assault on the city. Steam rises from manholes like souls escaping purgatory. Somewhere in the distance a siren wails, then fades into the urban symphony of violence and indifference. Marcus looks at his bike. The delivery bag hangs like a judge's gavel. $47. One night of safety. The mathematics of survival written in wet asphalt and broken streetlights. He looks at Vinny, sees his grandfather's hands, his mother's eyes when the bills came due. The weight of choices that define character when no one is watching. You ever ride on a bike? Marcus asks. Vinny's eyes brighten slightly, the first hint of surprise in a face that's forgotten how to expect kindness. Long time ago, he says. Marcus adjusts the delivery bag, redistributing weight. Math and mercy fighting for space in his chest. Hold tight, he says. The bike groans under the weight of 2 lives. Marcus pedals slowly, feeling every pothole like a personal attack. Behind him, Vinny grips the delivery rack with hands that remember strength but can't find it anymore. The old man's breathing comes in short bursts, visible in the cold air like smoke signals from a dying fire. You doing okay back there? Marcus calls over his shoulder. Vinny doesn't answer immediately. When he does, his voice carries something new. Not gratitude. Something harder to name. Haven't been on a bike since I was your age. The words float between them, heavy with implications neither wants to examine. Marcus shifts gears, the chain protesting against wet metal. Each click sounds like a countdown timer, marking seconds until his supervisor's patience runs out completely. They pass under a streetlight that flickers like a dying heartbeat. In that brief illumination, Marcus catches sight of Vinny's face in a storefront window reflection. The old man's eyes are alert now, scanning their surroundings with an intensity that doesn't match his earlier confusion. The change is subtle but unmistakable, like watching someone wake up from a dream they've been pretending to have. Used to deliver newspapers, Vinny says suddenly. Same bike route every morning. 6 a.m. sharp. Yeah? What neighborhood? There's a pause, long enough for Marcus to wonder if the old man heard him. Different city, Vinny finally says. Long time ago. They turn onto Michigan Avenue. The rain has stopped, but the streets still shine like black mirrors reflecting neon signs and traffic lights in fractured patterns. A police car passes in the opposite direction, moving slowly, scanning. Marcus feels Vinny's grip tighten on the rack. You nervous about something? Marcus asks. Just old habits, Vinny replies. But his voice has changed again. Quieter. More careful. Marcus's phone buzzes in his pocket. He ignores it. The 4th missed call from his supervisor. By tomorrow there might not be a job to worry about. The thought should terrify him, but something else occupies his mind now. The way Vinny's coat smells expensive despite being soaked. The way his hands, though shaking, move with practiced precision when he adjusts his grip. The way he knows these streets despite claiming to be lost. They stop at a red light. In the silence between traffic signals, Marcus hears something unexpected. Vinny is humming. Not confused humming. Not the wandering melody of dementia. This is deliberate, structured, a tune with purpose. What's that song? Marcus asks. Something my mother used to sing, Vinny says. Then, after a pause, Sicilian lullaby. The light changes. Marcus pushes forward, but the word Sicilian echoes in his mind. He knows enough about Chicago to understand what that might mean. Knows enough about the North Side to recognize certain patterns, certain names, certain territories. They pass a row of shops with metal security gates, all closed except one, a small restaurant with warm light spilling onto the sidewalk. Through the window, Marcus sees men in expensive suits sitting at corner tables. Their conversations stop as the bike rolls past. One of them stands, walks to the window, watches. "Keep going," Vinny says quietly. "Don't stop." Marcus feels something shift in the air around them. The old man's confusion has evaporated completely now, replaced by something Marcus recognizes from his own neighborhood. Awareness. The kind that keeps you alive when geography becomes destiny. "You know that place?" Marcus asks. "I know a lot of places," Vinny says. His voice carries an edge now. Authority wrapped in exhaustion. "Turn left at the next corner." Marcus follows the instruction without questioning it. The streets here are different. Cleaner. The streetlights work. The buildings stand straighter like soldiers at attention. Even the graffiti looks more organized, territorial rather than desperate. They pass a construction site surrounded by chain-link fence. Through the gaps, Marcus sees expensive machinery sitting idle under floodlights. The kind of development project that changes neighborhoods overnight, displaces families, redistributes power. "My family used to live around here," Marcus says, making conversation. "Before the rent went up." "Everything changes," Vinny replies, "sometimes for the better." But the way he says it suggests he's not talking about the neighborhood. Marcus's phone buzzes again. This time he glances at it. A text message. "Last warning. Be here in 20 minutes or don't come back." 20 minutes. If he drops Vinny off now and races across town, he might make it. Might save his job. Might keep the $47 between him and homelessness. "How much further?" Marcus asks. 5 more blocks, Vinny says. Then quieter. "You got somewhere important to be?" The question hangs between them like a test. Marcus thinks about lying, about pretending this isn't costing him everything. But something in Vinny's tone suggests the old man already knows the answer. "Work," Marcus says simply. "They good to you? Your bosses?" Marcus almost laughs. "Good enough. That's not the same thing." They turn onto Belmont. The church with blue doors stands at the end of the block, its steeple cutting through the low clouds like a finger pointing toward judgment. The building looks old, weathered, but maintained with care. Money has been spent here. Not church collection money. Something more substantial. "Right here," Vinny says as they approach the church. "This is good." Marcus slows the bike, then stops. He helps Vinny dismount, noting how the old man's movements have become more fluid, more controlled. The confusion from earlier has been replaced by something else entirely. Purpose. Vinny straightens his coat, smooths down his thin hair. In the streetlight, Marcus can see him properly for the first time. The bone structure beneath aged skin. The way he carries himself when he's not pretending to be lost. This isn't a man who gets confused about bus routes. This is a man who owns bus routes. "Thank you," Vinny says, reaching into his coat pocket. "For the ride." He pulls out a business card. Plain white. No logo. Just a name, Vincent Torino, and a phone number. Nothing else. Marcus takes the card, studying it. The paper is expensive, heavy stock, the kind used by people who understand that small details communicate power. "You need anything," Vinny says. "You call that number." "What kind of anything?" Vinny smiles for the first time since Marcus found him. It's not a grandfather's smile. It's something cooler, more calculating. "Anything," he repeats. A car pulls up to the curb. Black sedan with tinted windows. The engine purrs with expensive precision. The driver doesn't get out, but Marcus can see movement in the front seat. Someone waiting. Someone who's been waiting for a while. "Your ride?" Marcus asks. "My nephew," Vinny says. "Good boy." Worried sick. The passenger door opens. A younger man emerges, maybe 40, wearing a coat that costs more than Marcus makes in 6 months. He moves toward them with careful steps, his eyes scanning the street before focusing on Vinny. "Uncle Vinny," he says, relief and something else mixing in his voice. "Jesus Christ, we've been looking everywhere." "I'm fine, Tony," Vinny replies. Then gesturing toward Marcus, "This young man helped me get home." Tony looks at Marcus for the first time. Really looks. The kind of examination that catalogs details, stores information, builds files in the back of careful minds. "That was kind of you," Tony says. His voice is polite but measured. Professional courtesy with sharp edges. Marcus shrugs. Just giving someone a ride. Not everyone would, Tony says. He reaches into his jacket, and Marcus tenses instinctively. But Tony only pulls out a wallet, thick with bills. Let me pay you for your trouble. That's not necessary, Marcus says quickly. I insist, Tony replies, counting out hundreds like they're singles. Marcus watches the money, thinking about $47 in broken delivery schedules and supervisors who don't believe in second chances. The bills in Tony's hand represent months of security, months of not choosing between food and shelter. But something in Vinny's eyes stops him. A test. A measurement. The old man is watching to see what Marcus values more. Survival or principle. I didn't do it for money, Marcus says finally. Tony pauses, bills still fanned in his hand. He looks at Vinny, who nods slightly. Keep the card, Vinny says to Marcus, in case you change your mind about needing anything. Marcus pockets the business card as Tony helps Vinny into the sedan. Through the tinted windows, Marcus can see other figures, silent shapes in expensive clothes. The car pulls away from the curb slowly, deliberately, like a period at the end of a sentence that's still being written. Marcus stands alone under the streetlight, feeling the weight of the business card in his pocket. His phone buzzes one final time. He doesn't need to look to know what it says. Marcus stares at his phone screen. The text message glows like a neon sign in a dead neighborhood. Don't bother coming back. Final paycheck will be mailed. 6 words. 3 years of bicycle deliveries erased in 6 words. He slides the phone back into his pocket, feeling the business card brush against his knuckles. Heavy paper stock. Vincent Torino. A name that sounds like it belongs in old newspapers, buried in the back pages where they report on things that officially never happened. The walk back to his shared apartment takes 43 minutes. Marcus counts each step, using arithmetic to avoid thinking about tomorrow. Step number 1, 2, and 47 is when he realizes he's been followed. Not closely, not obviously, but the same headlights have been in his peripheral vision for 6 blocks now, maintaining perfect distance like a predator that's learned patience. He turns left at Michigan. The headlights turn left. He stops at a convenience store, pretending to study energy drink prices through the window while watching the reflection. The car parks across the street, engine still running. No one gets out. Marcus buys a pack of gum he doesn't want with quarters he can't spare. The cashier, a Pakistani man with tired eyes, doesn't look up from his phone. Outside, the car remains, waiting, watching. The apartment building smells like industrial disinfectant and broken dreams. Marcus climbs 3 flights of stairs, noting how the hallway light on the 2nd floor has burned out since morning. In the darkness, he hears Mrs. Rodriguez arguing with her landlord through thin walls. The same conversation every month, promises and threats and the mathematics of desperation. His room is 8 feet by 10 feet. He shares it with David, a community college student who works nights at a warehouse and sleeps during the day. Their schedules align perfectly for maximum misery and minimum privacy. David's absence now feels like luxury. Marcus sits on his narrow bed, pulls out the business card. Vincent Torino. The name means nothing to him officially, but Chicago is a city that teaches you to recognize patterns even when you don't understand them. Italian names, North Side addresses, cars with tinted windows, men who carry themselves like they own the street they're standing on. His phone buzzes. Text from unknown number. Marcus, this is Tony. Uncle Vinny wanted me to check on you. Everything okay? Marcus stares at the message. No one has his number except work contacts and his landlord. He's never given it to Tony or Vinny, but somehow they have it anyway. The implication settles in his stomach like cold concrete. He types back, I'm fine. Thanks for asking. The response comes immediately. Good to hear. Uncle Vinny would like to see you tomorrow. Lunch. Our treat. 1 p.m. at Gino's on Taylor Street. You know it? Marcus doesn't know it, but he can guess what kind of restaurant it is. The kind where conversations happen in corner booths and the waiters have selective hearing. The kind where loyalty is measured in silence and paid for in protection. I work tomorrow, he types. Another immediate response. Thought you lost your job tonight? No worries, just a friendly lunch. Uncle Vinny feels bad about your trouble. Marcus deletes the message thread without responding. His hands shake slightly as he sets the phone aside. Outside his window he can see the street. The same car sits under a streetlight 3 blocks away, close enough to maintain surveillance, far enough to maintain plausible deniability. He closes the curtains. Sleep doesn't come easy. Marcus lies in the dark, listening to the building settle around him. Pipes groaning, neighbors fighting, sirens in the distance, the usual symphony of urban survival. But now everything sounds different. Every footstep in the hallway could be someone coming for him. Every car door slamming could be the beginning of something he's not ready for. At 3 a.m. his phone buzzes. He expects another message from Tony. Instead, it's David. Cops came by tonight looking for you. Said you were a witness to something. I told them you weren't home. Marcus sits up in bed. His heart rate accelerates from resting to sprinting in the space between heartbeats. He types back, "What kind of cops? Didn't look like cops to me. Wrong shoes. Too expensive." The message hangs in the digital space between them like a warning bell. Marcus understands now that his act of kindness has consequences he never anticipated. Helping an old man get home wasn't charity. It was an audition, a test, an interview for a position he never applied for. Morning arrives gray and unforgiving. Marcus showers with water that's cold more often than warm, dresses in clothes that smell like desperation despite being clean. The business card sits on his dresser like evidence of a crime he hasn't committed yet. At 11 a.m., he walks to the library. Public internet, anonymous browsing. He searches for Vincent Torino and finds nothing official. No social media profiles, no business listings, no arrest records. The absence of information is itself information. People who can afford to stay invisible usually have reasons that don't involve charitable intentions. He searches for Gino's restaurant on Taylor Street. The reviews are interesting. 5-star ratings, but comments that sound like they were written in code. Great place for family discussions. The owner really takes care of his customers. Very private dining experience. The photos show a clean, well-maintained interior with booth seating arranged for maximum privacy. At 12:30 p.m., Marcus catches the bus to Taylor Street. The ride takes 22 minutes. He spends them watching other passengers, wondering which ones might be watching him back. An elderly woman knitting, a construction worker reading a tabloid, a businessman checking his phone. All of them potential observers in a game Marcus is just beginning to understand. Gino sits between a barbershop and a dry cleaner. The storefront looks modest, but the door is solid oak and the windows are tinted darker than city regulations typically allow. A valet stands outside despite the restaurant appearing only half full. He nods at Marcus as if they've met before. "Mr. Williams?" the valet asks. "Mr. Torino is expecting you." Inside, the restaurant feels like stepping back in time. Red leather booths, dark wood paneling. Photographs of men in expensive suits shaking hands with mayors and police commissioners. The lighting is deliberately dim, casting shadows that provide cover for conversations that shouldn't be overheard. Tony sits in a corner booth facing the door. He's wearing a different expensive coat today, but the same careful expression. Across from him, Vincent Torino looks completely transformed from the confused old man Marcus helped the night before. Alert, focused. Dangerous in the way that successful predators learn to be dangerous. Quietly. "Marcus," Vinny says, standing to shake hands. His grip is firm now. Confident. "Thank you for coming." Marcus slides into the booth across from them, noting how the positioning gives him no easy exit. The menu has no prices listed. The kind of place where money is assumed rather than discussed. "Order anything you want," Tony says. "The veal is excellent." A waitress appears immediately, as if she's been waiting just out of sight. She takes their order without writing anything down. Marcus asks for a sandwich. Something simple. Something that won't take long to eat. "You did me a real kindness last night," Vinny says once they're alone again. "In this neighborhood, that's rare. Anyone would have done the same thing." "No," Vinny says firmly. "They wouldn't. I stood there for 3 hours before you stopped. 3 hours watching people pretend I didn't exist." The food arrives quickly. Marcus's sandwich comes with sides he didn't order. Soup, salad, breadsticks. More food than he's seen on one plate in months. Vinny and Tony eat slowly, savoring each bite like men who have learned to appreciate life's finer details. "Tell me about yourself, Marcus," Vinny says between bites. "Family, dreams, plans." The questions sound casual, but Marcus recognizes an interview when he hears one. He answers carefully, revealing just enough truth to seem honest while keeping enough private to maintain some protection. "No family left," he says. "Working on my GED." Trying to save money for community college. What happened to your job? Tony asks. Marcus hesitates. He hasn't told them about losing his position, but they already know. They've known since before the lunch invitation. There was a misunderstanding about delivery schedules, Marcus says finally. Vinny nods sympathetically. Good jobs are hard to find, especially for young men in your position. The phrase "your position" carries weight. Marcus understands that Vinny isn't just talking about unemployment. He's talking about geography, race, class, all the factors that determine which opportunities exist and which doors remain permanently locked. I'll find something else, Marcus says. I'm sure you will, Vinny agrees. But maybe I can help speed the process along. Here we are, Marcus thinks. The moment when kindness becomes currency, when charity reveals its true price. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to witness a moment when someone's entire life changes direction with just one decision? The kind of choice that seems small at the time but reshapes everything that comes after? Share your thoughts about moments when helping someone led to unexpected consequences. I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. And if you're finding this story as compelling as I hope, consider subscribing to see how Marcus's journey unfolds. Because sometimes the most dangerous gifts are the ones that come wrapped in gratitude. Vinny sets down his fork with practiced precision. The sound of metal against porcelain echoes in the sudden silence between them. Outside, traffic moves in predictable patterns, but inside Gino's, time feels suspended, controlled. I own a small business, Vinny says finally. Import-export. Specialty goods from Italy, family recipes, old-world craftsmanship, the kind of products that require personal attention. Marcus nods, understanding that every word carries multiple meanings. Import-export could mean anything. Specialty goods might not involve food. Personal attention probably doesn't refer to customer service. The work is simple, Tony adds. Delivery mostly, but reliable delivery. Discretion, the kind of responsibility that requires character. The waitress refills their water glasses without being asked. Her movements are fluid, practiced, nearly invisible. Marcus notices she doesn't make eye contact with any of them. Professional blindness. The kind that pays well and keeps you breathing. What kind of deliveries, Marcus asks. Documents mostly, Vinny replies. Business correspondence? Contracts that need to be signed in person. Nothing illegal, just sensitive. The word sensitive hangs in the air like smoke. Marcus understands that legality and morality often exist in different neighborhoods. What's technically legal might still carry consequences that extend far beyond courtrooms. The pay is substantial, Tony says, pulling out an envelope. $500 per week to start. Cash. No taxes, no paperwork. No questions about background or references. Marcus stares at the envelope. $500 represents more money than he's ever held at one time. More than 4 months of his previous salary. The kind of money that transforms problems into minor inconveniences. Just for delivering documents? For being reliable, Vinny corrects. For understanding that some information is shared only with certain people. For recognizing that loyalty has value beyond monetary compensation. Marcus feels the weight of the proposition settling around him like expensive clothing. It fits too well, addresses too many problems, solves too many immediate concerns while creating others he can't yet identify. Think about it, Tony says, sliding the envelope across the table. Take your time. No pressure. But Marcus recognizes pressure when it's applied skillfully. The car that followed him home. The fake police officers asking questions. The perfect timing of this lunch invitation immediately after his job loss. This isn't an offer. It's a recruitment operation disguised as charity. What happens if I say no? Vinny's expression doesn't change, but something shifts behind his eyes. The temperature in the booth drops several degrees without any change in the restaurant's climate control. Nothing happens, Vinny says quietly. You go back to your life, find another job, struggle with rent, hope for better opportunities that may or may not materialize. The nothing happens sounds like everything happens. Marcus understands that refusing this offer might not come with immediate consequences, but it definitely comes with the withdrawal of protection he didn't know he needed until now. Can I think about it overnight? Of course, Tony says. But opportunities like this don't stay available indefinitely. Other young men in your situation would appreciate the chance. The implicit threat is wrapped in silk, but it's still a threat. Marcus pockets the envelope, feeling its weight against his chest like a second heartbeat. After lunch, Tony drives him home in the black sedan. The interior smells like leather and expensive cologne. The radio plays classical music at low volume. No conversation passes between them during the ride. But Marcus feels examined nonetheless. Measured, evaluated for qualities he's not sure he possesses. Tomorrow, Tony says as Marcus gets out. If you decide to accept, meet me at the corner of State and Madison at 10 a.m. If not, no hard feelings. The car disappears into traffic, leaving Marcus standing on his corner holding an envelope containing more money than he's seen in months. Around him, the neighborhood continues its daily routine of controlled desperation. Children playing in streets too close to traffic. Adults working multiple jobs for insufficient pay. Everyone hustling for survival while pretending there's dignity in poverty. In his room, Marcus counts the money twice. 5 crisp $100 bills. New money. Sequential serial numbers. The kind of cash that comes from sources that don't report to the Internal Revenue Service. He holds each bill up to the light, checking for authenticity he wouldn't recognize anyway. His phone rings. David's number. "Where you been?" David asks. "Landlord came by again. Wants to talk to you about next month's rent." "What did you tell him?" "That you were at work. But he knows you got fired." Mrs. Rodriguez told him. "Said he's giving you 3 days to come up with the money or he's changing the locks." Marcus feels the bills in his hand. $500. Enough for rent, food, and breathing room. Enough to stop the countdown timer that's been ticking in his head since yesterday. "I'll talk to him tomorrow," Marcus says. That night he lies awake thinking about choices that aren't really choices. About opportunities that come disguised as generosity. About old men who get lost on purpose, and young men who find them at exactly the right moment. At 3 a.m., he Googles Vincent Torino Chicago again. This time he finds something. A Chicago Tribune article from 1987. A photograph of men in expensive suits at a funeral. The caption identifies one of them as Vincent Torino, described as a businessman and community leader. The funeral is for Anthony Scalise, identified as an alleged organized crime figure. Marcus stares at the photograph. Vinny looks 40 years younger but unmistakably the same person, standing next to men whose names he recognizes from history books and crime documentaries. Not suspects, not alleged criminals, established facts wearing expensive suits and sad expressions. He deletes his browser history and closes his laptop. Morning arrives with urgent knocking on his door. Marcus opens it to find his landlord, Mr. Chen, holding a folder thick with official-looking documents. "Marcus," Mr. Chen says, his voice carrying the exhaustion of a man who's had this conversation too many times. "We need to talk. I know about the rent. I'll have it tomorrow." "It's not just rent anymore," Mr. Chen says, opening the folder. "I got a call from my insurance company. They're asking questions about you, about people you associate with, about whether my building attracts the wrong kind of attention." Marcus feels cold spreading through his chest. What kind of questions? The kind that make insurance companies nervous. The kind that make them raise rates or cancel policies altogether. Mr. Chen looks genuinely sympathetic. "I like you, Marcus. You're quiet. You pay on time when you can. But I can't afford to lose my insurance. I haven't done anything wrong. I know that. But perception becomes reality when insurance companies get involved. They're suggesting I might want to reconsider my tenant selection process." Marcus understands. He's been marked, tagged, identified as someone who attracts attention from people who make insurance companies nervous. The recruitment process has extended beyond him to include everyone in his orbit. "How long do I have?" "End of the week," Mr. Chen says quietly. "I'm sorry." After Mr. Chen leaves, Marcus sits on his bed holding the envelope of money. $500 that could solve his immediate problems while creating larger ones. $500 that comes with invisible strings attached to invisible puppeteers. His phone buzzes. Text message from Tony. "Still thinking time's running short on this opportunity." Marcus stares at the message. The timing isn't coincidental. They know about his conversation with Mr. Chen. They know about the insurance company's concerns. They're demonstrating their reach while offering their protection. He walks to his window and looks down at the street. The same black sedan sits in the same spot it occupied yesterday. Patient, watchful, inevitable. Marcus types back, "I'll be there at 10. The response comes immediately. Smart choice. Wear something nice. First impressions matter in this business. Marcus deletes the message thread and starts planning what to wear to his own recruitment, into a world he's spent 17 years trying to avoid. But survival has its own logic, and sometimes the only choice is which devil you're willing to dance with. Outside his window, the black sedan starts its engine and drives away. Surveillance complete. Mission accomplished. Marcus arrives at State and Madison wearing his only clean dress shirt and pants that stopped fitting properly 6 months ago. The intersection buzzes with morning commuters, tourists, and street vendors selling hope disguised as lottery tickets. He stands near a newsstand, pretending to read headlines while scanning for Tony's sedan. The car appears at exactly 10 a.m. Punctuality as intimidation. Marcus gets in without invitation, settling into leather seats that cost more than most people's monthly salary. Tony wears a different expensive coat today. Charcoal wool that makes him look like a funeral director for the American dream. "You clean up nice," Tony says, pulling into traffic. Image matters in this business. People judge competence by appearance first, character second. They drive north through neighborhoods that transition from struggling to stable to untouchable. The buildings grow taller, cleaner, more fortified. Security cameras multiply like mechanical eyes watching everything and recording nothing official. "Where are we going?" Marcus asks. "Your first delivery," Tony replies. Simple introduction, meet the client, build trust, establish routine. The word routine suggests this isn't a one-time arrangement. Marcus understands he's being integrated into something larger than document delivery. Something that requires trust, discretion, and the kind of loyalty that can't be bought, only cultivated through careful recruitment and subtle coercion. They stop outside a glass office building that scrapes clouds with corporate ambition. The lobby smells like money and floor polish. A security guard nods at Tony with recognition that extends beyond casual familiarity. No questions asked, no identification required. Access granted through invisible networks of mutual understanding. The elevator rises to the 47th floor without stops. No other passengers. No button pushing required. The building knows where they're going. "Remember," Tony says as the doors open, "you're representing family business now. Act accordingly." The hallway extends in both directions like a corporate maze designed to confuse visitors and demonstrate power through architecture. They walk left, past offices with glass doors and expensive furniture where people conduct business that requires privacy and generates substantial profits. The corner office belongs to James Morrison, according to the nameplate outside his door. Inside, Morrison sits behind a desk large enough to land small aircraft. He's 60-something, silver-haired, wearing a suit that probably costs more than Marcus's previous annual salary. Behind him, floor-to-ceiling windows frame Chicago like a painting he owns personally. "Mr. Morrison," Tony says, "I'd like you to meet Marcus Williams, our new courier." Morrison stands, extends his hand. His grip is firm, calculated, the kind politicians and CEOs practice until it becomes authentic-feeling performance. "Pleasure to meet you, Marcus," Morrison says. His voice carries the authority of someone accustomed to being heard without raising volume. "Tony speaks highly of your character." Marcus wonders when Tony had time to evaluate his character, but he shakes hands and responds politely. The conversation that follows feels scripted, rehearsed, designed to establish relationships that exist in carefully constructed boundaries. Morrison hands him an envelope, not the thick kind that contains money. Something thinner, more dangerous. "This needs to reach Mr. Rodriguez at the harbor," Morrison says. "Building 7, Warehouse C. Hand delivery only. No signatures required. The harbor." Marcus knows enough about Chicago geography to understand what kind of business happens at the harbor, what kind of imports and exports don't appear on official manifests, what kind of warehouses operate without excessive paperwork. "Any particular time?" Marcus asks. "Before noon," Morrison replies. Mr. Rodriguez appreciates punctuality. Tony drives him to the harbor in continued silence. The industrial landscape feels like another country within the city. Cranes stretch toward the sky like mechanical prayers. Trucks move in organized patterns, carrying cargo that feeds the city's appetites for things it doesn't want to examine too closely. Warehouse C sits at the end of a row of similar buildings, all designed for efficiency rather than aesthetics, the kind of architecture that prioritizes function over beauty, privacy over transparency. A guard at the gate waves them through without checking identification. Mr. Rodriguez looks like a man who's spent decades lifting heavy objects and making difficult decisions. His office is spartanly furnished but immaculately clean, the kind of workspace that suggests the real business happens elsewhere. in spaces without witnesses or official documentation. You must be the new kid, Rodriguez says, accepting the envelope without opening it. Tony says you're reliable. I try to be, Marcus replies. Trying and being are different things, Rodriguez says. In this business, being is what keeps everyone healthy. The return trip happens in reverse. Same route, same silence, same growing understanding that Marcus has crossed a line he can't see but definitely exists. Tony drops him at the same corner where they started, as if the morning constituted a completed circle rather than a straight line toward consequences. Not bad for your first day, Tony says. Same time tomorrow? Marcus nods, though the question doesn't sound optional. That afternoon he walks through his neighborhood with new eyes. The corner store where he used to buy candy as a child. The bus stop where he waited for rides to school. The church where his mother took him before she stopped believing in salvation through prayer. Everything looks the same, but feels different. Like viewing familiar territory from the wrong side of a border he's accidentally crossed. His phone rings. Unknown number again, but this time he answers. Marcus? The voice belongs to a woman, middle-aged, tired. This is Sarah Chen, Mr. Chen's daughter. I work for the Tribune. Marcus feels ice forming in his stomach. Journalists asking questions suggest someone has noticed patterns that weren't supposed to be visible. I'm writing a story about neighborhood development, Sarah continues. Gentrification patterns. Business ownership changes. I was hoping we could talk. I don't know anything about development, Marcus says carefully. That's not entirely true, is it? Sarah's voice carries the persistence of someone who's learned to ask questions that make people uncomfortable. You were seen having lunch at Gino's yesterday, with Vincent Torino. The mention of Vinny's name confirms Marcus's suspicions about surveillance extending beyond Tony's organization. Someone else is watching. Someone with different motivations and potentially competing interests. I helped an old man get home, Marcus says. He bought me lunch to say thank you. Vincent Torino isn't just any old man, Sarah replies. He's been linked to organized crime activities for 40 years. Never convicted, never officially charged, but consistently present in investigations that never quite reach completion. Marcus feels the weight of the envelope he delivered earlier, begins to understand that documents might contain information that determines who gets investigated and who doesn't, who gets protection and who becomes expendable. I don't know anything about that, he says. Maybe not yet, Sarah agrees. But you're getting an education, aren't you? She hangs up before he can respond, leaving him standing on his corner, holding a phone that feels like evidence of conversations he shouldn't be having. That evening, Marcus counts the money from his first day's work. $200 cash for one envelope delivery. Simple mathematics that don't account for hidden costs being tallied in ledgers he can't see. He thinks about Sarah Chen's questions, about warehouse deliveries and corner office meetings, about old men who get lost on purpose and young men who find them at exactly the right moment, about choices that seem voluntary until you try to make different ones. Outside his window, the black sedan has returned. Different car, same position, same patient watchfulness, same unspoken message about the boundaries of his new employment arrangement. Marcus lies awake thinking about escape routes that probably don't exist, and consequences that definitely do. Tomorrow brings another envelope, another delivery, another step deeper into a world that measures loyalty in silence, and pays for discretion with protection from things he's only beginning to understand. The city breathes around him, inhaling corruption and exhaling compromise. Somewhere in the distance, sirens wail. Someone else's emergency, someone else's choices coming due. Marcus closes his eyes and pretends sleep will come easy tonight. Thank you for staying with Marcus's story until the end. These moments of moral complexity, when survival and conscience collide, happen more often than we'd like to admit. Whether you found yourself rooting for Marcus or questioning his choices, I hope this story sparked some reflection about the thin lines we all walk between necessity and principle. What did you think about Marcus's final decision? Do you believe he had real choices, or was he caught in circumstances beyond his control? I'd love to hear your thoughts about where you think his story goes from here. And if you enjoyed this journey into Chicago's shadowy corners, please consider subscribing. There are more stories waiting to be told, more characters whose choices will challenge everything we think we know about right and wrong.